Straight, no chaser.
This time we're recording it. So, we're going to get into some things and do some things and talk about some things. And yeah.
We just talked about COVID-19. We talked about health. I mean, what else you want to do? You want to just talk about religion too? Man, goddamn.
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, just to let you know, we live.
Love it. I mean, y'all got anything that it's too late now. We live. So I was about to say, you want to say anything that you don't want the people to hear, but it's too late for that now because people are here and they listening. So we need to jump this thing off. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Straight No Chaser, the podcast. We appreciate you as always. We're here once again. We took a little break, but we had to bring it back. And now we're in the mix. Thank you for tuning in. We're everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, you name it. What else? YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Everywhere that you can get a podcast, you can get this podcast. Spotify. Amazon. Please like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends about it. All of the above. Anyway, so now that we about all of that, let's go around, introduce ourselves. Let's start with upper right-hand corner. Go ahead, KG.
Rose said we're not doing Facebook tonight.
Yeah, Rose. But then she hit us with the finally.
Always with Rose.
Cheers, KG.
Throw it over the rock.
Well, what up, y'all? Rasheem. Let y'all know I got my my COVID shot this week. Shot number 1. But I'm looking to lead the country. I need this vaccination. Throw it to Big Ox.
Back at it again. Tired as hell. Just teaching shit is not for everybody, but
oh Lord,
let's go.
Hey, we should make a bet, like a parlay. Who says the first curse word? I'm always betting on Neil.
I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna lose.
Yeah. And more likely than not, I'll probably get away without saying a curse word. And if I sneak one, it'll be something real minor.
That's the beautiful thing that comes with age. When you old as fuck, you can say whatever the hell you want.
Facts. I'm gonna say it. This is Straight No Chaser, the podcast.
Exactly.
Not Straight PG-13, the podcast. So we gonna say it how it is.
I've been on this planet. God bless me. 48 years, going to 49. Ain't nothing I ain't gonna say.
Why do you do that? As he always steps up. You're turning.
I'll be 49 in November, sir.
You're not 49 this November.
Yes, I am.
You're 48 this November.
49.
Am I 47?
Are you? That's a good question.
Hey, what's funny is, as you said that, the lightning struck in the neighborhood. So I'm like, hey, man, y'all old.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Y'all make me sick.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not. So.
Hey. There's nothing wrong with that. That is experience. That is longevity. Whatever age you are, that's what it is. Outstanding. Good for you.
Congratulations.
And, congratulations. For real. A lot of people do not make it to this age. Knock on wood. Let's hope that we get to 49 and all that.
Hey, my daddy checked out of here like 41, 42. So
there you have it.
We just
had what it is.
One of the
just to let y'all know, KG's he's sitting in a storm right now down in Texas, so his internet may be going in and out, y'all. So don't clown him too hard.
Treat me like John.
Oh, is that how we? Is that how we doing it? Okay, good. Yeah, we're gonna treat you like John. Okay.
Yeah, because clearly John's internet's going in and out, and he's not sitting in a storm. So y'all
at all
do whatever y'all want with that.
Same as always. What is up with my internet? My internet is good.
It's some shit.
So,
boo boo.
I know you ain't talking. So who all is? Go ahead, KG.
I was trying to tell y'all that there was a brother down here who's a teacher. He passed away from COVID complications. He caught it 2 weeks later, gone. And 4 kids, man. 4 kids.
Wow.
And so just, COVID is still real. Just, you talking about like life, how long we're living. And we're at that age right now where anything can happen. So just take care of yourself, be as healthy as you can, live as best you can, and enjoy this thing as long as you can. And when you check out, I'm gonna post something for you. I'm gonna drink something for you too. And if it's me, dog, do the same for me, man. Cheers.
Salud.
There you go.
Yeah, and I'm at a point where you got to make the conscious decision to leave it all on the court. Can't take none of this with us. People are checking out of here with unfinished goals. You know what I'm saying? You people got books y'all want to write them. Y'all got businesses y'all want to start them. Got relationships you want to mend them, because when it's all said and done, it's done.
Facts. All of the above. I ain't making we ain't amended no relationships, but all the rest of that, thumbs up. I agree with you. But speaking of making the most of your time, now I'm sure that y'all have heard about this woman. There's a teacher at a Catholic school, and COVID hit and things got tight. She tried to make a little bit of extra money. She's a teacher and a mother, and she has what's up?
No, she's also a teacher. Like, that went over my head.
I feel like she is a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'm gonna have to. She is? Okay. I thought she was. I thought I read that. I cannot remember what the person's name is, but this woman got an Onlyfans account. So for those of you out there who don't know what Onlyfans is, it's basically kind of what it sounds like. You pay a subscription and you have fans and people out there in social media and on the internet that watch you do what you do. And, it does not have to be porn. It could be, doing whatever, cooking, teaching, whatever your thing is, but it's mostly porn. And in this case, it was damn show porn. So basically, somehow her children.
She was doing XXX, or she was doing like soft porn?
I don't know. I did not see the actual scene in context.
You got to only.
You know what? I take that back. She was doing things with her husband or with a man that was also the cameraman. So I'm going to assume that there was some penetration. All that to say,
okay.
Let's say it's XXX. She's doing hardcore. All right. All that to say, people at the school found out. All right, and they want her out of there. So they will not only do they want her out, they want her kids out. And so I guess my question is, do you have, first of all, would you all have an OnlyFans account? Again, it does not have to be explicit. It doesn't have to be explicit. It could be anything. You know what I'm saying? Would you ever do something like that? Number one. Number two, let's say if you were out there like that, XXX, performing hardcore. We know that you won't, but let's just say you were. Is it okay for people to hold decisions that you make against your kids? You know what I'm saying? What do y'all got the dryer going?
No, that's the storm outside of KG's window.
Oh, I see.
I don't really get your question. Like, will we have an OnlyFans? Like, I think there's more to the story. Is she at a private school? Is it a public school?
Right.
All those things are important.
Right. This is a Catholic school.
Catholic
and I don't think she's the teacher. It's just her child attends the Catholic school.
I feel like she was, I could be wrong, but I think that maybe she is not a teacher at this school, but is a teacher, period. But okay, let's just say that she's not a teacher. She isn't affiliated with the school, just that her students, her kids go to the school.
Yeah, she got a son that go to the school, and the Catholic school is like, we don't want to be associated with you and in your porn ways. Look, I mean, if she's paying the tuition, because Catholic school could be pretty expensive right about now.
Oh wait, my bad. Let me say one more thing. She's clearing something like $15,000 a month based on her subscriptions and stuff like that. So let's add that in there.
Yeah, what I read, it was like over $140,000 a year. She's pulling in.
She's making the money.
Yeah, she's making money. All right. So my concern, my issue is she is now out and about with this. She is searchable. She's been through Google. She's been viral, and now her kids see it. So like my question really isn't about whether or not she should do it, how we feel about her doing OnlyFans. I'm like, how does the kid deal with that? Right, because I mean, a lot of people gonna be like, "Well, it's personal, it's her own business." Da, da, da. But now it's a kid's business, and you, 12 years old, and you on a schoolyard, and someone saying, "I saw your mama's nipples last night." Now, it's not a yo mama joke. It could very well be the case.
It's true. They big.
What's wrong with seeing
Like
mama's
this.
nipples?
Come on now,
I ain't got no problem with that.
Would you want someone running up on you talking about seeing your mama butt naked?
Of course I wouldn't. But here's the deal. I think that porn, at least in the 70s, 60s, the golden age as they call it, I think it was more detrimental to your long-term livelihood, lifestyle if you did porn back then. I feel like nowadays there's more crossover, there's more acceptance, people are a lot more liberal and accepting of their own individual fetishes, etc. I don't know if people are gonna really have that big of a deal with it. Like, sexuality and the way people kind of communicate and expose sex these days, it's not as much as taboo. I go back to this. I'll tell people this. If you've ever left the country, you should travel a lot. Travel outside this country and visit other places. In Europe, seeing somebody's nipples ain't no big deal. You go to the beach, there's people that's topless all the time. Little girls that ain't got breasts yet are topless. So it's not a big deal to see somebody's nipples, as you call them. This is what they are, but that's what you call them. So I feel like it's much ado about nothing. I feel like it's more of a consciousness because we're hypersensitive about sex in this country. So, I think she getting the raw deal. They ain't got nothing to do with her kids. I bet they want her money. Spread a contribution to their schools. I bet they take that money.
Well, to be fair, I guess we're not talking about just her posing, for example. We stand that there's much more than nudity. So it's not the same as just walking on the beach and something and seeing areolas. We're talking about full-fledged insertion, pull in, pull out porn. Okay, so I agree with you. I don't think that. I mean, do what you do, make your money the way that you make it, but it's not the same as just
unless when she signs up, when you sign up for a private school, unless there is a I think
morality clause.
Unless there's a morality clause, do you? There should be no, unless you're doing something illegal. If you ain't doing nothing illegal and there's no morality clause linked to your parents or your child's behavior, there should really be no ramifications for her, making the decision to do OnlyFans. Not to mention the fact that, unemployment is at record rates. I mean, it's not as high as it used to be, but it's still higher than normal. People have lost, jobs and income. And if this is how she found a way to keep her lights and bills on and her kids in school, well, who the hell are we to kind of say she's wrong for that?
I just to a point you brought up before about elsewhere it's not as taboo. That's elsewhere. That we are living in America, and her kids. You still there on our end, John? I don't know what's going on. Her kids are growing. Her kid is growing up in America. They don't know anything about living in Italy and being on a new beach, anything like that. So if that's the reality, and that's what's governing how people interact, I still feel for the child because, there are certain schools that have morality clauses. And morality clauses probably more likely than not is about the student's behavior. Like there was a little girl who just got kicked out of school this year because she said to another little girl in her class, these are kids, like 6, 7, 8 years old. She said she had a crush on this girl in her class. So when the school found out about it, they kicked the kid out because they have a morality clause. But I still feel bad for the child of this mother because the school put the kid out. Now it's on blast. Everyone knows that the kid got put out. Everyone knows why the kid got put out. Penelope in the comments is talking about what 12-year-olds is watching, porn or only. Kids are watching porn at 12, 13, 14 years old. They find and this internet is unregulated.
They're engaging in activity at 10, 12 years old.
They're engaging in it so much less. Matter of fact, some of them making their own. Like, it's crazy. So now I feel for the little dude. Like, you couldn't have on my block. You couldn't have a mother. Hold on.
How you know he didn't know?
I'm not saying that he didn't know. I'm not saying that he didn't know. I'm saying that now that everyone else knows. Like, when I was a kid, you couldn't have a mother on that block that the other boys thought were attractive. Like, that was enough to get you into a fight. So now, not only could they think your mama's attractive, they could say, "I've seen your mama."
I seen your mama take that.
Right.
I think listen, I ain't got no problem with what that woman doing. I think the school is wrong. You clearly don't, Ra. And we just
I'm not saying that the school is right and wrong. I am empathizing and sympathizing for the child who now has to probably put up with bullying, who might now deal with depression.
But Rod, I think that's unfair because unless I think it's unfair if you're singling out this kid and think that if you go to school with some shoes from Payless, you put some of them joggers on, some Pro Wings, you could get the same effect. You could still get bullied because you got on some Pro Wings. You could still get bullied because you ain't got on the gear that people say you should have on. The same effects could occur.
Yeah, but I think it'll be easier to live down Payless sneakers than your mama getting smashed from behind by people.
In certain cultures,
we are in this culture. We're in this culture.
Listen, I grew up with a dude. His father was a garbage man.
Okay.
His father was a garbage man when we was in elementary school. He got joned on because of his pops and where he worked. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that she's doing this or anything else. You're gonna get joked on regardless if you a kid. Just pick something.
Yeah, but
pick something.
But you can joke on me about something that I could rebut and be like, "Nah, that ain't the case."
You can still rebut. You can talk about what they got going on.
You cannot rebut the fact. You can't say to them, "Nah, my mom's not doing that." And
then they pull out
the phone and be like, "Yeah, here it is."
So
your mom is taking shots to the face.
You paid for it.
I don't even think it's the kids, though, yo. I don't even think it's the kids that's just causing all the chaos. I think maybe some other parent's husband saw it. The wife got irate. How dare you? And then the wife blew up the whole spot. I already think the kids is tripping. I think it was probably the adults. Some adult just blew up the spot. Some wife saw her husband watching the joint, was like, "Oh my God, that's Miss Such and Such from the school." And then she just blew up the spot. Now everything is all out the window. The kids, I don't know. If she is that sloppy, though, I don't know. Sometimes I think you got to be discreet. You got to move in discretion. You can't be that sloppy to let your kids find it. I mean, as a matter of fact, let me take it back. Because sometimes we think we hide stuff from our kids. Our kids really know. But, yeah, I don't think it's the kids, man. I don't think it was the kids. I think it was the parents, man.
Yo, somebody was saying in the comments that it was like you just said, somebody's husband saw the OnlyFans and the wife got irate and blew the spot up. So the kids, kids is going to be kids. The problem is as they get older, that's going to live forever. So, yes, we might not be beefing about it now, but, 8th grade, 10th grade, 12th grade, I seen your mom, like literally taking dick. So I don't really want to hear anything you got to say. That kind of shuts down any kind of argument that you and me might have. That's just the way it's going to be. But, at the same time, it is what it is.
It's fighting words. You got to fight after that. You have to fight.
No, you don't.
You can't walk away. You got to fight.
You can fight, get your ass whooped, and your mama still took dick for money on the OnlyFans. And I mean, it was her husband's. So not only I saw your mom, I saw your dad too. And is what it is. You got to do what you got to do in 2021. It's a pandemic. It's a Panasonic out here. Make your money.
It's a Panasonic.
I feel like y'all.
A Walkman.
Well, y'all doing the most with this one, man. I ain't got no problem with this what I'm doing. Do you have fun?
I'm not saying I have a problem with it. I'm saying I have a problem with the ramifications that might exist for her child.
But
how else should she make money? If she feels like you just said earlier with COVID-19, if you want to write a book. If you want to do X, Y, if she want to get boned on camera and get paid for it and make $15,000 a month, who are we to tell her otherwise?
I'm not telling her otherwise.
And then what ramifications, really, if you think about it, think about some of these rappers and some of these entertainers that be doing their own little video leakage and got kids. It's almost like the same thing. Maybe not as extent as hardcore porn, but it damn near is.
Nah, that dude Tiger, Tigger, whatever his name is, the dude with Young Money, he does OnlyFans, from what I understand.
What about, you know what I'm saying? Like, what about Megan and Cardi's kids when they grow up? Or a couple of weeks ago when we was talking about, well, not us, but everybody was tripping off the Trey Songz joint. What about when his daughter or son get up? It's the same stuff. Really, for real. When these entertainers' kids grow up, it's like, oh, remember when you did that video? Ooh, remember when that photo leaked? So I don't see the big difference.
We didn't have to deal with this. We didn't have to deal with social media when we was growing up. So it's different now. It really, really is.
Like Farida's talking about, we grew up on your mama on crack rock, your mama on crack jokes. Farida, it's different this day and age with the social media. It's bad.
Watch Euphoria. I've talked about this show plenty of times on HBO Max. Watch Euphoria. I've talked to people who have kids or had kids in high school. They say it is like a mirror depiction of what kids go through, at least right now. By the time my kids get that age, who knows what the hell is going to be going on in these schools. Stuff happens, man. They're not seeing people have sex is not anything new to these kids. Seeing people overdose on drugs ain't new to these kids. They have nurseries in high schools these days because a lot of the kids have kids. Like it's not. Exactly.
Yeah, but I still think that them having sex with someone is still a private moment that they're sharing with a different person without the expectation that it's going to go viral. So a private moment that their mama had has now gone viral because
they don't want it to be private. They selling it.
They selling it to adults who are willing to pay for it. And now
they're not vetting that. They don't vet OnlyFans. Sell it to whoever want to see it.
They're selling it to people who want to pay for it. But the thing, I guess my buried point is because the school put her on blast, now she has gone viral. And as a result, everyone knows what to look for.
Her revenue going up.
Her revenue is going up. But her kids' peers now know what to look for because, as to your point, they probably get on OnlyFans like that. And then now they can see, I'm sure she can shoot her videos anywhere she wants in the world, anywhere in the country, still put out her content, transfer her kid because they ain't got pictures of him out there, and he'll be just fine.
I mean, like I said, the kid probably does not necessarily know or care. They're still young. If it's my understanding, they were like young kids. The moms was hating, which is how it goes. The dads was looking at it, and that's also how it goes.
Dads was loving it up.
Do what you got to do.
The lady's 49. She looks good for 40. Not good for. She's attractive. I mean, people probably was hating on her.
Yeah. Betty Crocker moms was hating real hard.
Do you
stop baking the cake, shawty?
Anybody that's got an OnlyFans out there,
your original,
drop that link.
His original question was, would y'all do OnlyFans? Y'all dodged that one. I ain't gonna let that off the hook.
Yeah. And again, it does not. The majority, I'm assuming, is adult entertainment, adult content, but it doesn't have to be that. I know people that foot videos are big on OnlyFans. People get off on feet.
You ain't got to clarify your question.
So I think I will set up an OnlyFans account for people who are looking to get advice on how to go to college successfully and find funding and be productive on college campuses. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. OnlyFans, hit me up.
There you go. Charge $1.99 and make it happen.
Nah, premium content. I would.
You said you would?
I ain't gotta say what kind I would do.
What you selling?
I don't know. Something that I feel comfortable with selling. And I would charge a premium.
I'm telling you, I've had this idea for a minute and people have already taken it and run with it, and I need to go ahead and do it. But reading, just simply reading, people love that. It puts people to sleep. It makes them, relax, and you can just read books to them or whatever. You know what I'm saying? There's a market for that. I really need to get into that. I'm thinking about it.
Lee Mubai, you gonna have an OnlyFans?
Hell no.
You sure?
Hell no.
It's too late for that.
Nothing being revealed.
I think again, you look at it from one perspective,
right?
What Rod's saying and what John shared is this. It's not. It's
not. I'm just saying no. I'm just saying no. Period.
All right.
That's it. Bottom line.
Slippery slope for him.
There you go. I mean, it's one of them things. And I guess we got to talk about the storms that's been happening since clearly that's a major issue still. I mean, it's the storms have wreaked the havoc that they've wrecked or whatever the case is. But I mean, we still. What's up?
Why does Jen know that they have a person doing Barbie porn on the
I was trying to let that slide, bro, but
why do you know this?
Does all doll porn on their body? Yeah, Jen, you got to let us know how you know that.
One chick does doll porn on there. She said one chick does doll porn on OnlyFans. Now, see, to me, are we talking about like sex dolls? Or are we talking about literally Barbie dolls and they just together and you like, ooh.
She gonna have to put in the comments what that's about.
Let it go, man.
Please.
So about these Texas storms, John?
Yes, Texas storms. So as many of you all know, Texas had a snowstorm as well as the rest of the country last week, knocked out the power. People didn't have water and so on and so forth. And the government was kind of like, well, y'all, shit happens. So what can we do? And I guess my question to you all is, is there any kind of responsibility, I guess, on a day-to-day? Because there was, elected officials that were like, hey, we're doing everything we can do. We know that you don't have electric. We know that you don't have water. Suck it up. Go boil some water, boil the snow, do what you got to do, and kind of just let people dangle for 3-4 days, a week in some cases. Do people have any kind of get back? I'm trying to think of what the right word would be. The Texas state government has dropped the ball here. So should people in Texas, and this kind of matters to people in other states too, if something happens and your state government has failed completely, what, if anything, can you do? Is it just a vote? You got to vote them out.
Hold on a second, John. You sound like you're rambling. Hold on a second. Let me ask KG, because he lives in Texas. Do you think that it was the state government that dropped the ball, or that privately owned ERCOT that supplies the power to Texas that dropped the ball? What was your experience dealing with that stuff down there?
Well, both things are accurate, right? So the Texas government is controlled by a Republican governor, Senate, and House is all controlled by Republicans. It has been for, I think, the better part of 2 decades. I'm told that in 2011, there was another critical storm that crippled the energy system in Texas. Now, what people really don't get, like they see it on the map, Texas is big. Texas can fit 2 or 3 versions of the Northeast inside of it. To put it in perspective, El Paso, Texas is closer to San Diego than it is to Houston. To give you like how wide and how the breadth and size of Texas. And you think about a storm that impacted the entire state of Texas, like that's a massive thing. What people were told by the energy companies, because in Texas is very different. It's the only state that has its own power grid. So, it's separated into the east and west for everybody else except Texas. You can pick and choose, just like people can pick and choose back in the day, like various phone lines. Like if you want to do AT&T or Sprint or whatever you wanted, like it's just like that in Texas. So you can change energy companies like you change your underwear, quite frankly. You got a notification that said they would be rolling 45 to 50-minute outages of power because of the surge of activity that they expected to receive in the winter. What Texas will do, they really gear for the summertime because it's hot. It's really hot in Texas in the summertime. So they cut off parts of the grid during the winter. And to ramp all that kind of stuff up, it just takes a lot longer than what they had to prepare for this record-breaking kind of snowstorm. Does it snow in Texas? Yeah, but not like this. It was 3 different days of snow. And when the power went out, what people didn't anticipate or expect was it to be off for 4 days straight. And when it was -40, I think I said the text to y'all, it was -4 degrees. It was colder in Texas than it was in DC. It was colder in Texas than it was in Ohio and Gary, Indiana. It was -4 and it's freezing temperatures. And what people don't understand is the Northeast and other parts of the country they build structures and stuff with winter in mind. people in Texas ain't got Timberlands. People in Texas ain't got Columbia coats. People in Texas ain't got shovels. So you can't get around. So Home Depot's power went out. Walmart's power went out. So everybody unless you had a generator, you was on auxiliary power. Your fireplace wasn't really working if it was electric. You couldn't eat because the water plants power went out too. The water went bad, so people have to boil water. So people were then scooping up snow, thawing that out just to flush their toilets. It was really bad, and I think that, I was telling people at work, I don't think they really realize how bad it is. Like the pipes were bursting, people's homes were flooded, apartments were flooded, people's homes were destroyed. You guys saw the stuff on TikTok and Instagram where people's, roofs were caving in. That's real. One of my employees, he had, because of the weight of the snow on his roof, his house was leaking. Everybody on my team had floods with the exception of two people, me and one of my other employees. I was fortunate. The worst I had was freezing pipes. The power went out a little bit here and there. We had water the entire time. But I got a 4-month-old. So imagine if I think there's a story out there where 11-year-old was out on Saturday, was out playing in the snow. This dude died of hypothermia because he didn't have no goddamn power. So it was really bad. A week later, it was 70 degrees. Literally, it was 70 degrees a week later, and you can see no effects of what took place. But it's really there's a bounce back that needs to occur. It's really painful to see that, which makes what Ted Cruz did so vile. In the beginning, I didn't have a problem with it until I learned more about what occurred. I thought if he had a planned vacation, the dude was out, he was leaving. Hey man, it just how the cars kind of fell. However, when the text came out, you see this was kind of an escape. He had the means to escape when so many other people didn't. That's a coward move, man. And to come back and try to put your little mask on and hand out some water here and there, man, forget that dude. He's a clown. Clearly, he's a clown. But it was bad. Do you think the people in Texas are going to remember that when it's time to vote? I mean, you've been there long enough to kind of feel the personality of the residents. You think they're going to remember that when it's time to vote? I think it's possible, right? Texas is changing. If people remember during the election season, they didn't call Texas right away, and that was very encouraging to see that Texas. And I took a picture of a screenshot. Texas was blue at one point. It didn't end up that way, but in the early stages, Texas was blue. And people believe within the next 10 years, Texas will flip, just like Georgia did, on a more consistent basis. So I think it's highly possible. In fact, I think it's highly probable that Texas will flip. I don't think Ted Cruz is going to have a long life in Texas just based off of situations like that. He does play well with a whole lot of folks in Texas, but I think that rubbed people the wrong way because that impacted everybody regardless of your political affiliation. Yeah, what killed me is when I saw that Rick Scott, who was that, like former governor, Rick Scott was on some old Texans will put up Rick Perry. They'll put up with power outages if it means that we could keep Texas energy independent from the federal government. Nah, not to that extent. I think people are pissed. He put his foot. No, we'll put up with that to stay independent.
So people were pissed. Let me ask you a question then, and thank you for shedding light on that, Keltric, because I know you've been in Texas for a while. But then I want to flip it to John, since you were originally homegrown from Texas. Have you seen situations like this before, John? And how do you believe? No. Do you believe? Oh, go ahead, Keltric. My bad.
The reason I want to stop your question because it's not as valid, right? Situations that typically happen are not segregated to one particular area, right? If there's a hurricane, it may go across a certain section and stop. Like it doesn't impact the entire state. So when you think about Katrina, it impacted New Orleans, some parts of Mississippi, but most of people talk about is New Orleans. This took out the state of Texas. I need you to understand that it took out the state of Texas. You could put, I think, 5 New Yorks in the state of Texas. That's how big it is. Mm-hmm. So it's to ask about Houston, it always floods in Houston if it rains too much. Like Houston is they're used to certain levels of disaster, but to take out a whole state with no power. Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, Houston, everybody, El Paso, no power for days upon days. It has nothing to do with Houston or a specific city. It has nothing to do with that. It fucked up the whole state.
That's what you're saying.
Most people in Texas, like Keltric said, are not used to snow, especially also snow. Maybe in North Texas a little bit. And in optimal situations, people don't know how to drive in Texas. So any kind of ice, they completely lose their damn minds. So yeah, this was a complete catastrophe across the state, and everything else. Got, unfortunately, some family members that suffered and so on and so forth. It sucks. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
I think it's interesting though that what people are saying is that Texas fell into this perfect storm because they have this independent grid that's not connected to the two grids that pretty much power the rest of America. There are two grids for the country, and when power goes out in different grids, they can get backup energy from another grid because they're connected. But Texas has made it known we want to stay and remain independent. We don't want to be connected to the federal grid. We're independent. So foot down, we're independent. But now, since it's happened, by way of their independence, the politicians, the Republican politicians, are now saying to the federal government that they want to be independent of, you all need to give us money to help fix this. People have energy bills that are like $2,000, $3,000.
16.
So you said 16,000? There are people who have as much as 16?
Yeah. So what they did, ERCOT, I forget what the name, what the acronym stands for. You said it earlier, Ron.
I just said ERCOT.
It's the governing body who manages the energy resources in Texas. So everybody gets to apply. You have to apply to be a part of ERCOT. So it's kind of like when people have mortgages and another bank absorbs your mortgage, or they take over your mortgage. Like, this is really kind of cutthroat to be a part of this ERCOT system, because at that point you can compete for customers. What they did when they saw the storm was coming, they went to the government and said, we want to raise the prices for per kilowatt of power that people have it. They asked everybody to lower their thermostats to, I think, like 60 or something like that. And if you did, it still would be like $9 a kilowatt. I think that's what the number was. So if you were still doing it at 70 degrees, if you could, which it's not going to 4 degrees in Texas. Of course, people probably did something like that. Your energy bill is like $16,000, $17,000, $18,000. The Lieutenant Governor, Dan Patrick of Texas, was like, that's on the customers. He had no empathy for it. There was a mayor in Texas who resigned because he was saying people need to start waiting for handouts. You need to kind of fend for your own. I agree with him. You should go look up the comment. I don't necessarily agree with how he said it, but during that time frame, nobody was going to save you. Everybody was in the same situation. If you didn't have no water, you had to figure out how to get some water. If you had no power, you had to figure out how to warm yourself up. It was kind of like The Day After Tomorrow, that movie, The Day After Tomorrow, when they was in the library burning books and whatnot. It got to that for a lot of people. Put whatever you could, keep whatever warmth you could. People were literally putting their grills inside their homes and lighting grills in their houses. People were sitting in there, like one of my business partners sat in her car to charge her phone and run a conference call. I'm on my phone, literally on my phone in my house, trying to participate on the conference call, because what people don't understand is, you're still working. Nobody else in the country is figuring out, they're dealing with, like, hey man, I hope y'all okay down there. But what they gonna do?
Right. People were dying for carbon monoxide poisoning because of that.
Yes. It was to be a part of it. My neighbor has palm trees in his backyard by his pool. There was snow on his palm trees. In my back, I never would have imagined I would see more like snow like I saw in Indiana, in Texas. My mom asked my daughter that she wanted like a park. I was like, dude, we live in Texas. This happened like 3 months ago. Lo and behold, she could have used one.
It happens. I mean, y'all might not remember this. I can't remember what the name of the storm was, but this was like maybe 2015. There was a string of storms that came through the mid-Atlantic that was all in a line, and they just knocked out all the power through Maryland and Montgomery County for like 3-4 days. And it got ugly because the grocery stores was closed. They didn't have no power. All the lights was out in the middle of the summer, so it was burning, broiling hot. And it got real Lord of the Flies real damn quick because, everything started falling apart. And it was kind of, get in where you fit in type thing. So it's messed up. I'm glad that it's all coming together.
It couldn't get that way because it was too cold to go outside. So people were not leaving their homes. People literally just died in their house trying to stay warm. Because if you go outside, you can't get anywhere because the streets, you could not get out of your complex or your homes, your neighborhoods, because the streets do not treat it. Again, there's no snow plows. There's no sand. You are literally trapped. Like you are trapped in your home with no resources. It was horrific, man. Like, thankfully, on Valentine's Day, I was able to get out. I went to the grocery store, and they had food. I wouldn't say they had an abundance of food, but they had stuff that we needed for our groceries, and that got us through. Because after that, everything was shut down. Nothing opened. People didn't have any employees to kind of even get to the place to work. And my daughter and I played outside in the snow on Valentine's Day. After that, it snowed like 3 more times. It kept piling up, and everybody was just stuck at home trying to figure it out.
Time to break out the card games and everything like that. I always wonder what my special needs families type do in those types of situations because it's just ugly. But I'm glad that people have made it out to this point if they did. And hopefully, unfortunately, I mean, we're going to see more of this kind of topsy-turvy climate change stuff in various different ways where you seeing snow in Texas and broiling heat in Alaska and, everything else.
I agree.
Yep.
Jacked up situation. Speaking of jacked up situations, we got to pivot and go to my man, Little Boosie. Little Boosie is a guarantee to always come up with some nonsense and foolishness. So the latest thing that Little Boosie had to, weigh in on was dealing with Lori Harvey. Okay, so I don't know if y'all do you want me to synopsize this or you want one of y'all to do it?
All right, so I'll try to do it as succinctly as possible. So Little Boosie's being interviewed by, what is it, Vlad TV? I think that's what it is. And it's a longer interview. And someone mentions about the whole Lori Harvey and her with Michael Jordan. And the way he processed it was that she's getting a lot of shine for being able to date Michael Jordan. I mean Michael B. Jordan. I always want to throw that B in it because I don't want people thinking the basketball player. So she dating Michael B. Jordan, and she getting that shine. And then Lil Boosie says something to the effect of, we got to stop giving credit to all these women who are dating these celebrities. He was like, when is it gonna happen when the guy is gonna get credit? Stop putting the sisters on this pedestal. When are we gonna give credit to the guys for running through all these beautiful women? He's like, because last I looked, she was at the crib with so and so, and now she was such and such. But why don't we just give shine to the dudes because they able to knock down these women? And he was dead serious about that.
Well, I mean, Boosie, I think he's been kicked off of Instagram and Twitter and every other damn thing. So that's why he's always on Vlad. That's why somebody was saying in the comments or whatever. Boosie is a very opinionated person. I don't see Lori Harvey, why people pay attention to her to the extent that they do. I get it. I guess she's beautiful. She's young. She's rich, and she's out there. And she's dating a lot of wealthy, rich, young men. And people paying attention because that's what we do on social media. I didn't see what the big ass problem was, but many people agreed with Boosie.
Hold on. We can't unpack I don't know who the many people agree with Boosie. I don't know. I didn't see all of the comments with many people agreeing. There probably was a bunch of folks who agreed with him. But we can't unpack this notion that we need to give credit to dudes for running through women, when in fact that's just been the system, the way it's been laid out since the beginning of time. Like, that's just how it's been. Like, dudes have always gotten credit when you look at the people who, older gentlemen who now got younger. Lionel Richie got like a little 30-year-old girlfriend now. You know what I'm saying? When we look at what's wrong with that, right? And when we look at the Hugh Hefners of the world, always got a new young 19, 20, 21-year-old because they trying to get put in Playboy and start their career. Like, men have always been in a position where they get a little young thing and they get applauded by society. So for little Boosie to put it out there like that's something brand new, I'm like,
No, but you know what, too? I mean, you're correct, Rob, but there's another part of it, too. The other part of it, too, was with the same statement you said, but he was also saying, why do women give accolades to somebody like, Lori Harvey, who go from men to men to men because now she's winning, but a woman who stands by her man, who, he puts her through bullshit or whatever, but she stays by him, they get knocked. That was that was his overall statement. He's trying to say, if you're going from man to man to man, and now you got the one, you glorified. But if a woman stays by her man who cheats on her or whatever, oh, she's stupid, she a clown. That's where the real drama.
I thought he called a boy a simp.
He said, I thought that's what I was talking about. Yeah, like Boosie said that women like Lori Harvey are not going to be able to get a street nigga. That's what he said. They're going to pull the simps. I don't know what the difference is between simps, street dudes, regular dudes in Boosie's definition or what have you. Lori Harvey can have whoever the hell she wants. So I don't know where he's coming from with that, but that's what he was basing. That's what I got from his whole little statement.
Listen, man, I don't
look at Kelly.
Boosie is the same dude.
Kelly be dating all them dudes.
Boosie is the same dude who got a prostitute to sleep with his kid. I forgot what he's in prison for, but I also remember Mike Tyson asking that man, was he gay? Like, why do you care? And I think Boosie, Mike Tyson, he was on Mike Tyson's Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson, and in that conversation, Boosie looked very uncomfortable because he ain't gonna pop off with all that energy that he shows to everybody else to Mike Tyson.
Not with Iron Mike.
Mike Tyson was humbling him and teaching him at the same time. And so in the interview with Mike Tyson, Boosie said to him, he's like, why you even talk? Like, why don't you just shut up? He's like, I should shut the hell up sometimes. This is a moment when Boosie needs to shut the hell up. Who Lori Harvey dates, who Michael B. Jordan dates, is none of his damn business. Who he dates is his business. Who he doesn't date is his business. Who dates him is his business. Everybody else, either get on out. I don't know why people even like. I don't even like any of Boosie's songs. That RESP, what's the song? RES. What's the song that dude did?
Independent or him and Weapon.
Independent. IND. Yeah,
that's him.
And he did Wipe Me Down too. I think those are the only two songs I ever heard of Boosie that I remotely remember. Other than that, I don't understand his music. People like him though. Like the hood loves this dude for whatever reason. But
I love that motherfucker, dog. I ain't gonna lie to you. I fucks with Boosie hard.
Fucks with Boosie. Me too.
His music, I do. His music. I don't agree with what he talk about. I mean, as far as political and other than that, but Anyway, next, moving on.
He's a clown, man. He's a clown. I can't listen. If I like your music and you a clown, I just can't like your music no more. I can't disassociate your clown acts with the music you put out. I just can't do it no more. I'm good. I'm off of him.
And this whole idea that he's putting out there that she can't get a street dude. Why does she need a street dude?
Exactly.
Why does she? Quite honestly, sisters, I hate to put this on y'all, but if you all said that you would no longer mess with a street dude, not date him, not give him nothing. I guarantee you all the straight dudes would become simps. I guarantee you. I hate to put the power on you like that.
I just don't even agree with his definition of a simp. This dude is successful.
Yeah, but right, he's successful. But I'm saying that dudes do what they do so they can get that shine with women. If she wants to be with a simp, as he put it, so be it. But if all sisters was like, well, we only dealing with simps, I guarantee you they'll no longer be straight dudes. These hood dudes wouldn't be straight hood dudes. They just wouldn't, because every dude would be like, I need to be a simp to get me a shorty, and that's just is what it is. They'll find a way to simp out. You think I'm lying?
Wow. I think
I think you're lying too. I go back to the
I heard
fact
you
that
say, wait a minute. Ross said something like, if men do what they do to get put on by women, what did you say? Something like that?
Yeah. If it's a man who wants to be in a relationship with a woman, he will change the way he behaves in order to get the woman he wants to be with.
Facts.
It's as simple as that.
Wow.
He'll do it.
Wow.
Like something that came out of the nation, the minister said a long time ago, he said that if man had no idea who and what God was, he'd worship women.
Facts.
Men will do what they do so that they can get with shorties.
Lord,
so all the women said, you know what? We're not dating hood dudes no more. I guarantee you dudes will be in school. They will be trying to start businesses. They be mending their broken relationships in their families. They become simps because they trying to get with women.
Wow.
I mean, tell me I'm wrong.
Tell me
I'm wrong.
I don't know.
You're totally wrong.
Know, but because real quick, I don't even want to take it too long, but we spoke about this before, and I think based on what you said, remember me being in high school for the younger generation. You know, the younger generation is not representation of everybody, but they're the future. We had a clash of young females. It was me and a couple of males. We were trying to mentor, and we had the group. So the men had the female group and the women had the male group. So we asked them straight up, which do you prefer? If a young man came up to you, spoke to you politely, said, I think you look attractive, I'd like to get to know you, would you give him a time of day? They were like, nah, he's whack. But if another dude came out smoking, acting all quote unquote hood, they were like, yeah, that's what we relate to. So I mean, I hear what you're saying, Rob, but I don't think so, because you got to tell me what demographic you're talking about. This young generation, they don't know nothing about polished and may I talk to you?
Wait, pause. You are not going to tell me that every young black person in this generation is that way.
A majority.
You can't even say majority. You can't.
Based on what I have seen in my area.
I hear that. No, okay. What you see is I watched this podcast, I Am Athlete, and Fred Taylor, he has this saying that says exposure leads to expansion. What you're talking about, Neil, is a lack of exposure. Not you personally, but the people that you're surrounding yourself with in terms of what they say is whack and what's not whack. We have been fortunate enough to have exposure, which have expanded our thought process. And we know that what you're saying is a small sample size of what some young people may see or may want. I'm not going to say that it doesn't exist. Clearly it does. I can speak to my experiences and see that women responded better to people who were disrespecting them than people who were treating them with some type of respect. A dude like Boosie is a clout chaser. I feel like in this situation, what he's really upset about is the fact that she ain't want to date somebody like him. And she never would. Most people, in my opinion, that got some gumption about themselves would never resort to dating a dude like Boosie. Seriously, I think people who are looking at a financial gain would date a dude like Boosie. But if you're really trying to be happy, that dude ain't gonna give you no happiness. You see what it's thought? Look at how this dude speaks.
I agree with everything you just said, but Samantha just said the same thing. I think it's all in the demographics, fam. I don't think it's fair. Well, straight no chaser. I don't think it's accurate to say that all women would want, the scenario Rob was throwing out, the clean cut. Not saying, of course, it sounds like it would make sense, but there are probably some women out there that would like a street dude. It's possible.
I disagree with that. That's a minority, though.
Plenty.
That's a minority.
I don't know if it's a minority. I think it's almost an even kill, dog. I really do.
I think the women that want the street dude. You talking about young girls who want the street dude because the sample you talking about the girls beating up in the high school.
Let John go. Go ahead, John. Let John go ahead, John.
No,
I'm just trying to. We need to define terms here because I don't quite understand exactly what is a street dude and what is a simp. Because if Michael B. Jordan is the definition of a simp,
I'm a simp.
Your definition is simply this: Michael B. Jordan, because that's who he was talking about. Simp. Right. And when he talks about street dudes, he's talking about dudes who reflect what he does, how he portrays himself. So that's what you got. Boosie on one side, Michael B. Jordan on the other.
So what are you?
So don't complicate it.
I'm a simp based on his definition.
I'm definitely a simp based on his def.
Definitely.
Well, there you have it. Straight no chase to the podcast.
Oh, you're not even trying to go in there.
I like how he plays.
So what are
you a simp?
You said.
He asked you. Based on your definition, John, would you be a simp?
Based on Boosie's definition.
I mean, yeah.
I believe very firmly that words have power. I'm not going to articulate.
Are you
anything? I'm as street as it comes. I am a street dude. No, I'm not no damn simp, and I'm not going to say that. So there you go. Now that we all clear on the same page, there you have it. So,
Keltric, I will pay for your thoughts right now, bro. I can see it all. The lightning just went off behind you too.
Because John lied.
He lied.
Yeah, I know. We know.
Hey, you know what? You should be, dog.
Stop right there. Bring it back.
No,
what am I lying about?
You should be. No, I
gentlemen.
I said you should be
on the internet and we live. What am I lying about so I can clarify for you?
You not street.
You should be, man.
And I'm not a simp either. So if that is the dichotomy, I pull myself out of it. That's why I didn't say nothing.
That's what
I know exactly what I'm saying.
That's Boosie's dichotomy.
You wanted a definition, and I say, and pretty much I'm saying you don't need a definition. He had put it out here.
Choices are Boosie, Michael B. Jordan. I'm neither. And that's it. Y'all say I'm a simp.
You're not Killmonger? You're not Killmonger.
No, I'm not. No.
Oh,
my stereotype, my archetype is neither one of them poles. So that's good that y'all identify. That's cool. It is what it is. Fine.
What
that's
are your
great.
Which one? What are your poles then?
What are my poles?
You said
what are my
poles? Yeah, pick your two people.
I know zero. I know zero about Boosie and who he really is, not who he portrays to be. I know zero about Michael B. Jordan, who he really is, not who he portrays to be. I would never identify myself.
I said, who are your two? Pick two people.
Let me reiterate clearly. I am neither like Boosie, nor am I like Michael B. Jordan. If Boosie is the street nigga and Michael B. Jordan is the simp, I am neither of those. I don't know what else I can tell you.
Y'all, Straight No Chaser, the podcast is being hosted by Boosie B. Jordan. Thank you, y'all.
There you go.
He's a mixture thereof.
No, that's not what I said.
You already owned it. John, you owned it. You was like, yeah, that's me right there.
I did not say that.
Do street dudes own
cat?
Yeah.
Yes, Jed. Thank you,
yes.
Jed.
Yes.
By themselves, living alone.
Go grab your cat, John. Show him because you're a street dude. Show the cat. Where the cat at?
I'm looking for him. I'm going to go look for him.
Thank you for that comment, Jed.
So,
Dr. Evil on
two
the cat.
people. Okay. On another note,
yes,
we had to switch and pivot one more time to something totally out of bounds, and that has nothing to do with Boosie. We off Boosie. So we are all parents and everything else like that. As our children get older, as something Rasheem said maybe a couple weeks ago, all of our kids, well, not all of them, KG's children are not, but the other 3 of us all have a child that is going to be turning 18 this year. So at 18, are you all like okay with putting your kids out and putting them out in the sense that, all right, y'all are prepared, you ready to go out, be independent, do your thing. I've, prepared you at 18, they can go. Or is that kind of your game plan?
Can I put it out there in the way that the meme put it out there that I got it from? The meme I saw said, putting our children out at 18 without a plan is a generational curse. Putting our children out at 18 without a plan is a generational curse. So when we think about, you 18, you got to get up out of my house and be an adult. Is that a positive? Because a lot of us would think that's positive. We causing our kids to be an adult in the real world.
When did you all, let me ask y'all this to jump this off. When did you all leave the house? 18, right? 18, 19. I'm asking, I don't know.
So if you're defining it as leaving and not going back home to permanently stay, when I left to go to college. So 18, 19.
Would you have been able to go back home?
Yes.
So you wasn't put out. You just left to go to college.
I left, and when things were failing, I told myself, to me, failure would be going back home. And I'm not doing that. And so going back home was never an option to me. For my mom, my folks, it may have been an option for them. But to me, as a man,
right,
an adolescent maturing to become a man, it was like, hell no, you're going to figure this thing out, come hell or high water, and you're going to stand up on your own 2 feet eventually. And I go back, John I never let him forget this when he was like, dude, your granddad was right to tell you to get off your ass and figure it out. I remember it was so bad. For those that live in DC, they understand this. It snowed, and we lived on 23 seating place, and I worked in LaFont Plaza. I did not have money to take the metro to get from LaFont Plaza to get home to 23 seating place. So I walked home. And it was one of the most humbling experiences I've ever experienced in my life. Like, man, you gotta figure this thing out. And it was the best. It was like those times and just kind of struggling through and trying to figure your way out was the best decision I ever made in my life. Never looked back. And I'm house chilling.
Me, see, it was a completely different scenario for me because I don't know if you're familiar with West Indian parents. At a certain time, you just want to bounce. So undergrad was in St. John's. I was back and forth in Queens to the Bronx. I was like, all right, cool. Then afterwards, I finished and I got a job at the post office. And I was like, yo, I need my own place. It's like it was just something inside me that was just like, all right, your mom's helped you far enough. It's time for you to get on your own feet and bounce. So I was just like, all right, doing the post office thing. But then I was like, you know what? I need to go to Howard. And when I came to grad school, I bounced and I never looked back. But, we were all living together. I'll go to New York maybe once or twice. But once I left, I left. Like, you couldn't pay me to go back to New York. Once I left New York and I was on my own, I like to use Keltric's phrase, I never looked back. But also to answer Ra, I know if anything popped off, God forbid, and I needed to go back, my mom's would have the door open. You know what I mean? So it's like one of those scenarios where she respected the fact that I said, yo, I'm out. But if anything ever happened, the door is always open.
Let me ask you a question. If something popped off, would you have gone back home as a first option? Or would you have kind of looked at some of your friends and said, yo, I'm in a transition and try to figure it out on your own? Like, going back home to me was that was a nuclear option. That's like DEFCON 5. Going back home was DEFCON 5.
No, I get what you're saying. To me, going back home would have been like the dire last resort. Like, I've utilized every possible thing I could have, but I need to go back. And I know it would be a welcoming situation, but it'd be the last resort. I would work through everything first. But now, me as a parent, to answer John's question, y'all know I love my daughters to death, but my daughters, they want to bounce on their own. They like, Dad, I want to experience stuff. And part of me is just like, we've had this conversation. I'm like, oh, damn, my baby's just 18. Y'all getting ready to leave. But I would never impose the fact that I still want to hold on to you onto them. So they want to bounce. They're going to different schools together. But if they ever wanted to come back, of course, the door's wide open.
I have a question for those that haven't answered yet, and for you too, Neil. Based on this scenario that you presented, Ra, is it a failure on the parents if they're not equipped at 18 to travail this thing called life?
See, I was going to let y'all talk around it and then bring it back, but I'm glad you brought it back. Y'all talking about choice. Y'all talking about y'all had the choice as to whether or not you would go back home, and you decided not to go back home. I want the focus to be on, and I'm sorry if I don't get everyone's comments to bring them up on the screen because I'm trying to talk at the same time. I want to talk about the parents who were saying, "Yo ass got to get out."
That was me.
You 18, you got to leave. And I think, my opinion, that is a generational curse. In my opinion, you got an 18-year-old who has not even formed their complete selves yet. Like everything in your body has stopped developing with the exception of your brain. So you are not even a fully functioning, mature adult at 18. You won't hit that until you like 24, 25, 26 if you slow. And to say to them, you got to go out there in the world and figure it out on your own. Yes, you're going to struggle. Yes, there are going to be challenges. Yes, you're going to have to learn to get around obstacles, and it's going to make you a better person. I understand that. But what if they had the comfort of being able to still challenge, have struggles and obstacles, and do that from the comfort of the crib and save money, build wealth, start business, and then when they're able to go out into the world, then they can go out in the world, and instead of having 50 cents in their pocket, they got 50 G's in a bank account. But you're not good. More likely than not, you will not get that as an 18-year-old launching out into the world by yourself. And I'm speaking from personal experience. I'm not just speaking because, theoretical and all that BS. This is personal. You know what I'm saying? Because when I came home 18 going on 19 and all the locks on the door were changed because the woman who was my guardian, love her to death, she was like, you not in college. Because some people are like, well, if you're not in school and you're not working, you got to leave. I had a job. But you're not in college, so you got to get out of my crib. And she changed the locks on the door, all of them. And that put me and I had already was without my mother, so that put me in a position where I had to go off to college and figure this thing out on my own. Mm-hmm. I would probably be so much farther ahead if I had a safety net, or at the very least a place of comfort where I can figure this out, make my plans, and then launch off and save some capital.
Let me ask you a question.
So yeah,
what's the cutoff there?
Let John say something real quick, Keltric.
I gotta ask a question. I'm sorry, John. I'm gonna ask a question. You can answer this too.
Okay.
What is the cutoff? I have somebody that I love to death who still goes home and stays with his mama. What is the cutoff? You have to have a cutoff at some point in time. I hear what you're saying in terms of setting them up, but I think there has to be a discussion that you have along the way with your child, so your child understands like where you are, where they need to be, and at some point in time, you got to go.
Hold on a second. So let me answer his question that he directed to me, and then John, yes, because I know you. And I'm just saying this. Why does there have to be a cutoff point? There are some families that could stay together and build multi-million-dollar businesses, LLCs, build wealth while all staying in the same place and not spending a dime to stay there because the house is paid for. And you know this because you've done financial peace. You know what I'm saying? With financial peace, so long as you owe somebody money because you're in debt, the dollars you make don't belong to you. So if you're put in a position where you can stay someplace where you don't have to go into debt to live, you can then at that point start to build wealth. So why does it have to be a cutoff point if the goal is to make sure that everybody's wealthy?
Because you're gonna want to believe when you live under my rules.
No. See, but that's once again, that's a family thing. It's a family dynamic. Everyone's not built for that. But I know families, especially
y'all. I love y'all. Let y'all go, y'all.
Hold on a second. I know families, especially Latino families, where you don't leave until you're getting married. And then you go off and you have your own house. So you're at the crib, contributing to the businesses. People who come over here as immigrants, starting businesses and making money, you're contributing to all that. And you could be 27, 28, 29. But then when you get married, then you go have your family. So I'm just saying there are other ways of doing this versus you 18. You can't even, you don't know your nuts from your elbow. Now going out there and figure out the world. The world will eat you up. I'm sorry, John. Go ahead.
It can't eat you up.
It can.
So there's a difference between men and women. I know we hate to say that, but it is. Young men, 9 times out of 10, are forced to make decisions and do things that young women are simply not. It is much more acceptable for a young woman to live with her family and stay there and stack her money and do what she needs to do than it is for a young man. It just, period. I don't know how it is in Europe or Africa or Australia or whatever.
Acceptable by who? To who? For who?
By the culture and the world.
Hold on a second. What does the culture and the world got to do what you do inside your house?
Rod, like, I don't know exactly. Let me try to make sure that we on the same page and arguing the same damn thing here. So what I'm saying is that it is more acceptable, and this is, if you're going to try to argue something else, we just going to agree to disagree. It is more acceptable for a woman to remain with her family up through life till death. Who cares? Than it is for a man. And if any of y'all out there in the world in the comments want to sit here and be like, oh no, that's man, please, straight no chaser. Tell it like it really is. Not everybody in here would sit back and be like, if you met we're going to say the politically correct thing now, but if you met some man that is 18, 19, 20, take it on up to 42, 50 or whatever you want to say, and he's living with his mom, that's not a good look, period. So the reason that all of us was forced out or whatever you want to call it, or made a decision to leave or whatever you want to say it was, goes back to Ra's earlier point about buns. We make a lot of decisions in order to get certain things and have the freedom to do certain things and so on and so forth that young women do not have the same kind of priorities. That was my first point. My second point was to your, the second point was, the second point was in the meme, it said, you got to be 18 and without a plan and getting pushed out is generational curse. I can totally get with that, and I can totally agree with that. However, that plan, you can't have somebody else, your mom, your dad, your granny, or whoever, give you the plan. That plan has to be come to the conclusion on by the person that it's going to be impacting. So
I disagree.
If your parents,
you don't know shit. It may take a while for me to get there. I just got there. You don't know nothing. How are you putting the plan together when you don't know nothing? You barely know how to wipe your behind at 18. How are you putting together a plan that's going to take you for 60, 70 years into the future?
Rasheem, ladies and gentlemen of the internet, here's what I'm straight no chaser. Okay, I'm going to say it as clearly and plainly as I possibly can.
Are you hitting on something, John?
Telling a young 18-year-old, I want y'all to not think with your 40-year-old mind, your 45, almost 50-year-old mind. Go back in time to when you was 18 and somebody was trying to tell you what you should do, what you shouldn't do this, do that. You probably wasn't trying to hear that. You did not want to do whatever it is that you wanted. They could lay out all the great, wonderful things for you to do, but most of us at 18, 19, 20, 21 years old on up feel like we got to figure it out. We know what to do. So shut your old ass up and let me at it and let me go be a person. Here's my point. I'm of the opinion that at a certain age, a young person needs to get out the nest, spread their wings and fly. Yes, you are going to make mistakes. You are going to fail. You are going to mess up. You're going to mess up bad. Hopefully we have done what needs to be done to prepare you for that moment. And if you need to come back and regroup and, whatever, that's one thing. However, you got the opportunity to fail. So that means, yes, at 18, you need to be in college.
I got you.
You need to be employed. You need to be doing something constructive with your life. If you're just sitting on the couch scratching your ass at 18 years old, male or female, in my opinion, you need to get up and go do something. That's
So
just how I feel.
What we are really kind of blurring the lines a little bit is financial wealth management in a lot of ways, right? And so I'm watching the same podcast, and one of the things that they talked about was in our culture, we do a lot more of giving back, like to our parents, making sure our parents straight, than kind of pushing it forward with our kids. And so if you look at a lot of the comments, people talking about helping pay their mama's bills, helping pay their parents' bills, and doing things for their parents, that's not really what 18 and up is supposed to be when you talk about these other cultures, Rasheem. They ain't really doing that. They're building wealth for the future, not for the past. If I'm in the position that I hope to be in for my kids, they won't need to be in my house at 18. They're going to be in their own place, filling in their own spot that's hopefully paid for. So at 18, the expectation is they've been ingrained in a thought process that helps them understand that they're going to have some obstacles, but they won't fail because they have resources. Mom and dad will help them, but it ain't got to be coming to my house to stay with me, because you need to live and experience this life on your own without the safety net, the comfort of mom and dad's furnishings, in my opinion. So I think if you push the conversation forward and not think about it from our experiences or what our peers' experiences have been for the most part, I think you can look at that meme differently and see that it has some benefit to say, all right, 18, you good. You got everything you need. You're still gonna learn, but live a little bit, man, and have a little fun. And mom and dad will be here if you need us, and be out.
Okay. Can I? All right. So I think, one, John, throw out the idea of what we got from our parents. Like, just throw that idea out, because our parents didn't know what they was doing. Our parents
failed.
They absolutely failed. They didn't know what they was doing. They raised us the best way they could, but they have been deprived of information, deprived of knowledge, deprived of practical experience of creating something in our communities. Because if they knew, then our communities wouldn't look the way they looked right now. So what I am talking about is us making a conscious decision to do things differently. And in doing things differently, I don't believe the phrase, you're 18, you need to leave my house because you're grown, plays into us doing things differently for the benefit of individuals and for the community as a whole. So I believe there's nothing wrong with an 18-year-old being at the crib. Nothing wrong with it. So long as, and when you talk about, to Cage's point, so long as like they have a plan, like we have got to make a conscious decision to make sure that our children have plans. And we've got to act out on those decisions, because our parents did not. The plan for our parents was the military, college, or they just threw up their hands because they lost the trade. Yeah, post-secondary education. Or then they threw up their hands because they lost us to the streets. Like Antonio was talking about, he was successful by 18 until he found Jesus. I can guarantee you then, if you needed Jesus to take you away from that success, it probably was in the streets. You follow me? So I'm saying, like, pushing forward, we got to say it ain't the smartest thing to do to push our kids out at 18 simply because they're 18. So we need to help them make a plan. And in helping them make a plan, we need to also understand that they may not fully understand it because they just got here. 18 years old is nothing. When church that I go to, one of the people, one of the ministers there, who came to do some training for us, he does leadership. I'm gonna go there. He does leadership conferences all over the world. He does youth leadership conferences, and in the United States, that's the only place where youth leadership conferences is 18 and below. Everywhere else in the world, that doesn't stop until you damn near 30. And then you go to the youth leadership because there's an understanding that 18, you're still learning. You're still growing. You're still a youth at 24, 25, 26. So why are we going to push you out there in the world? All I'm saying is, I'm sorry, I'm losing y'all in the comments. I don't know where I left off at. All I'm saying is, don't marry yourself to saying you gotta go because you're 18. That's all. Just don't be like, you gotta go. Help build the plan, put the plan together, support them in their plan. And if that plan fails, because plans do fail, don't be like, you 18, figure it out. If they may need to come home for 6 months to a year to 2 years, so be it. It is what it is.
Listen,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Cage.
I don't know if you've given every generation in front of us is better. They're more equipped than our generation. Y'all got kids that's 18.
This generation?
I'm just saying.
Are you talking about technology? Technically, they're more equipped. What are you talking about?
Listen.
What do you mean when you say they're more equipped? Unpack that.
I think they're smarter. I think they're a little bit faster than what we were. Y'all talk to my daughter. My daughter's 3. Does she sound like a regular 3-year-old? I mean, from what you can compare a 3-year-old to sound like, I would say, based on what everybody that she's ever interacted with, the answer is probably no. If we cultivate that my daughter, I'm using like all of the little kids that probably have experiences like her. If we look at all of them and cultivate them and guide them in ways that we know better than our parents did for us. Not that they didn't try, they just didn't know. We know more than they did. 18, she should be good. Not great, but she should be good. We were okay. Now, as each generation after us kind of comes and they rear kids, it should go from okay to good to great to excellent. 18 should be a good enough number. 18 summers, you can figure that thing out. Some may take longer. Some may take. We have people at Howard that was in Howard at 16.
16, right? Yeah.
They didn't go back home. So I think if we're looking at the averages, we can get to a place where 18 is the average, and you ain't got to come back. You ain't got to come back.
I'm just gonna say this. We have passed the mark where more than 50% of the kids that we have in public schools across America are in low-income communities. Like
nobody on this call is low income.
Yeah, but you know what? We're living in a community that is going to be affected by people who are growing up and being educated in low-income communities. The majority of them. It just is what it is. That's just the numbers. So, and you know what it's like to be educated in a low-income community.
Rasheem, again, we are the fortunate. We are in the fortunate few.
I'm talking about a collective thing here. I'm not talking about us. I'm not talking about our kids. I'm talking about in general a collective thing here. Our community is going to be run by folks who are growing up in low-income communities, from the hood to the rural to even suburban areas. And we know that there's going to be a lack of education. There's going to be a lack of resources. There's going to be a lack of even preparation and people caring for them.
Schools is not the answer, Rasheem.
I'm not talking about just the schools. I'm talking about the community. So if they're growing,
I'm talking about your parents. What you as parents provide and offer and teach your kids.
Us.
Exactly. I don't give a damn what I'm not saying.
I do.
What the schools teach is important. But what you provide as a parent is in my opinion, more value to a kid than it is what they may get from a school. A school ain't gonna teach you financial management. None of us learn financial management in school. Mm-hmm. We know about it now, so now we can teach it. It should, but it's not.
Very few of our families.
Exposure leads to expansion. When that dude said that, man, I was like, man, that's a word right there. Exposure leads to expansion.
It's a difference for young men and young women, and it just is what it is. Good luck with trying to tell a 18, 19-year-old person. Yes, I totally agree with you, Rasheem. having a stable, solid plan in place is always much better than not having a stable, solid plan in place. No question about it. It is much smarter to stay someplace where you got a roof overhead and you got a bed and food to eat and everything like that. Mm-hmm. But a lot of 18, 19, 20-year-olds on up is going to be like, I kind of want to do this.
But do you know why? Why I think that's the case? Because they're smart enough to look around and be like, I don't believe you. Like, you're telling me to do X, Y, and Z because it's going to do this for me. I can tell by your life. I don't believe you. I don't trust you. Like, why am I getting that information from you? Because clearly, if you've mastered it, it hasn't worked for you. But what I'm saying is, because we are now at a place where we say we have put these pieces together and it works for us. We bring that. If you bring something to an 18, 19-year-old and you show them something and they say that looks like it works, they will absolutely follow it. They will absolutely do it. They may tweak it. They may even fight you for the first go round. But if it looks like it works, they're gonna be like, all right, cool.
I just think that if you look at all of your kids, their maturity levels are far beyond what we were, and the women that we were around at that same age was.
I disagree.
Your daughter, John, when you talk about her activism, the things she's involved in, her level of focus and commitment is beyond anything I've ever heard of from somebody that's in middle school at that age. When I think about the twins and what they're about, what they're into, the fitness commitment, the artwork, the setting up your sites. I'm selling my work. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not even out of high school yet. That is beyond what most people were doing when we were in high school at that same age. Rasheem, your daughter, podcasting with her mom, just the level of advancement that she's in, and she's like, the way she processes what's going on around her it is superb. They are more advanced than we were.
But they're also more advanced than their peers. And I think this is the crux of my problem. They are the cream. They have risen to the top. They are more advanced than their peers. And our future is going to be problematic because we're not doing right by them in mass. They're more advanced than us, and they're more advanced than their peers.
There's always going to be thirds, Rasheem. No matter what's going to happen, it's always going to be thirds. It's going to be the top, the middle, and the bottom.
Okay.
Always.
I'm going to disagree on they're more mature than we were at that age. They are more technologically advanced, no question. But these kids develop in a social media world, and we develop like in a real world. So all of the skills that we got coming up as teenagers was because we was interacting with people in person, and where somebody could punch you in your face for what you were saying. And it's a totally different world today.
The world is not interpersonal like that, John. Nobody's really doing face-to-face interactions.
But they will be.
That's what I would. Sooner or later, they're gonna get out into the real world. And may I say, and when if you interact, and
I'm sorry, John. Go ahead.
If you ever interact with these young people in a work environment, the ability that they have to solve problems, to one of the things, I hate to keep bringing this back to a personal thing, but Howard was very foundational to my upbringing, I guess you could say. And one of the main things that I learned during my time at Howard is find out how to do it. There's going to be people that's going to be like, no, and that's it. And before that, when somebody told me no, I would just showing it. And that had to go out the wayside. I had to figure it out, because if I didn't, I was going to have my ass on a bus back to Texas. And that was a no-no. So you had to figure it out. These children are coming up in a world where they are very, like I said, technologically advanced. They are very intelligent. They're very blah, blah, blah. But some of that stuff, especially in that 18 to 21, range, whatever you want to call it, where they're still kind of young, but they are technically adults, their problem-solving skills ain't that great. Just bottom line, they're just not. Because they used to be able to kind of. I
did not say they would be perfect. I said they further along than we were.
I'm saying they're not more mature than our era at that same age, because we had to go out, because we had to go get jobs, because you had to go pay rent at 18 years old, because you had to find a way to get from your little raggedy ass house to your poo butt job. And that meant you had to get up and go get on the bus and figure out when the bus was going to get there. And, all the other different things that come with growing up and being an adult. It's a lot more than just, wealth management. Let me figure out what stocks I need to invest in.
Is that growing up poor?
100%.
Growing up?
That's growing up, I feel like. Yeah, that's growing up. If you got it, growing up is when you are responsible for yourself. Can you handle being responsible in total for yourself? When you can do that, you are a grown up. And that's whether you're rich, poor, white, black, male, female, et cetera, et cetera. And the sooner that them kids get that experience, because experience is the best teacher, the better. So yes, can they come back? 100%. Do they need a plan? Absolutely. But I'm not with this whole idea of, you slipped and fell and busted your head. Come on back. No, stay your ass out in the cold and figure it out. You need that. That's my. Well,
you need internet.
On that note, it's been an hour and 30 minutes. So
this is a good one. This is a good one.
We got to, I guess, kind of tie this up once again. Straight No Chaser, the podcast. We appreciate everybody for listening. Please like, share, subscribe, tell somebody about it. We will be back soon to have another episode. Do y'all have one last word for the people before we shut this thing down? Before Neil passes out?
Yeah, people's. Because Neil got to go to school in the morning.
Right.
If you have not subscribed to our YouTube, please go on out there and subscribe to our YouTube. I mean, Jen, you got an OnlyFans? Please subscribe to our YouTube. Other than that, thank you for kicking it with us. We may not. We got a
webpage too.
Yeah, we got a webpage. Come to www.straight.nochaserpodcast.com. You can stream live with us there, so you don't have to go to Facebook, you don't have to go to YouTube. But if you want to be a part of the comments and get shouted out, go on Facebook or go on YouTube so we can get your comments in. We can show them up on the screen. With that said, we may not all be in agreement when it's all said and done, but that's because that's how we built. We love each other, and it don't matter. We don't all have to be on the same page, and it is what it is.
There you go.
Ox, you want to say goodnight to the folks?
Yes. Good night.
KG, you got anything?
Nah, man. Just have a good one.
Thank you, Queen.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you do have an OnlyFans.
I do. Appreciate the book, How to Raise an Adult. I'm going to check it out. So they told me to get a lemon. No.
Yeah. Well, let me get some of these comments in before we bounce, because I want to see what these people have been saying. Hold on a second.
Right.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah. So if you have an OnlyFans account, post a link up. We're all about transferring the knowledge and everything. So let's follow each other and subscribe to each other. Support each other's little products.
Shout out to Jay High. You're new. I didn't see you. I haven't seen you the past weeks. Thank you for spending time with us, Jay High.
There you go. So on that note, thank you for tuning in. We will be back very soon. Like, share, subscribe, all of the above. And everybody have a wonderful night. Y'all be blessed. Peace.
Peace.
And on that note, we're going to say peace out, God bless, and good night.
Straight, no chaser.